to the best part, the writing on the page. So many cool things to talk about here. First, let's talk about the movie references. This screenplay has 33 movie references in the script. It's really, really interesting. We'll take a look at some of them on page 102. The Kins, it says they're approaching the cul-de-sac as if they're riding horses, but they're just galloping on foot, Monty Python style. Page 66, they pass the beach and the Kins are playing volleyball a la Top Gun style, and the Barbies are cheering. This is the reverse of the beginning. Earlier in the screenplay, it was the Barbies that were playing Top Gun volleyball and the Kins were cheering for them. Also on this page, it says the Kins race on the beach and hug triumphantly in the surf a la Rocky III. Page 87, and Barbie Alexandra is broken from her spell where she was just hanging out with the Kin bros. As she says, it was like I was in some dream where I was somehow really invested in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, which is timely since Superman just came out this week. Page 87, Barbie scans all the different girls' faces and then bam, like Roy Scheider in Jaws seeing that kid getting eaten, she sees her girl, the one from her vision. Page 88 is my favorite. They say she suddenly has a new authority, a deeper voice from a place of real knowing, like Olivia de Havilland at the end of The Heiress. Now go watch that movie, it says in parentheses. And how are we not going to take a movie recommendation from Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach? They also reference Clueless, The Philadelphia Story, Grease, West Side Story, The Shining, American in Paris, The Matrix, Lord of the Flies, Saving Private Ryan, The Godfather, Tokyo Drift, Raging Bull, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And there are other ones too. The famous I'm Just Kin musical number is actually hidden in the screenplay. Did you know that? They buried it in code on purpose because they knew that executives would not go for it. It's on page 101 and is hidden in there as a dream ballet of frustrated masculinity. So obviously if you read the screenplay, you know something goes there, but no idea that it would be this huge musical number. Word got out that this was going to happen and she was told not to bother with it, but guess what? She shot it anyway.
I'm just kidding. Where I see love, she sees a friend. What will it take for her to see the man behind the tent and fight for? I'm just kidding, and I'm enough, and I'm great at doing stuff. So hey, check me out, yeah, I'm just kidding.
She snuck it into a cut to show the executives, and then she said afterwards when the lights go up, quote, everything in my entire being needs this to be in the movie. And so her passion and her execution won them over. And I bet they're glad they listened. And we want to talk about world building here through tone and theme. And this is what I was talking about earlier about one thing that Greta Gerwig does great. And again, Noah Baumbach gets tons of credit here. But Greta also does this in her other scripts where when she's writing action lines, the action line is written in the tone or the voice of the character who's driving that scene. And in this screenplay, we start with a very innocent toy and toys in a world that's very childlike. And then she grows and matures into a human who has to deal with the complications of being an adult. So the tone of the action lines gets more and more mature as we go. We'll look at a couple of quick examples of that. Page 2, second page of the screenplay, we get the girls all mirror what their Barbie is. So the doctor is the doctor, the ballerina is the ballerina, etc. So it's written, that's sort of how a young girl would talk, ending in a preposition, double mentioning things, etc., a big word they just learned. And there's tons of that in here, not just this one action line. Page 27, 28, there's the car crash, and it says, Ryan Gosling pops up in the back seat singing, and Barbie Margot screams her head off, and then he screams at her screaming. So that's very adolescent-like, right? And then there's the crash, and it describes it, and just so that we know as a reader, oh, this is, the tone of this is funny. It's not, because when you read car crash, you're like, we've seen so many car crashes in films, we think, ooh, this is horrible. But it says, still hysterical. So just letting us know, oh, it's all good. The car lands upright on its tires, no damage. As we move into the final act of the screenplay, it becomes more and more mature. We're getting the perspective of adult Barbie, who's coming to the realization about the pros and cons of being human. On 113, it says, and she feels and sees what a human life is, the joy and pain of being mortal, all that she will lose and gain. That's a very mature action line compared to the beginning, for sure. And then this one also caps it off, which I think is pretty funny. We see that she's wearing Birkenstocks, pink, of course, but still Birks. The screenplay is very meta. And I had to look that up several months ago. I'm embarrassed to say. I kept hearing meta, and I was, in my mind, thinking meta was more like a tone, or it's, how we used to use the word like preppy. I don't know how I got that in my head, but everyone kept saying meta, 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 and it didn't make sense in the context they were saying it. So I looked it up. And you probably knew this all along, but meta is when something is about itself, when we're getting inside information. In other words, the screenplay talks about itself as a movie in the screenplay. On page 12, Barbie Margot contemplates human mortality, and we get in the action line, literal record scratch, and everything is quiet. All the Barbies and Kens look at her. She's broken the movie.
Do you guys ever think about dying? I don't know why I just said that. I'm just dying to dance.
Page 11, DJ Barbie turns up the song, which is the amazing original hit song for this movie. So leaving it there like as a marker. We don't know what the song is, but it's going to be great, and this is where it's going to go. Page 85 is the most meta of all, and it comes from dialogue in the screenplay where Barbie is saying that she doesn't feel pretty anymore, and then Gloria is telling her, you are pretty. And then she says, but I'm not stereotypical Barbie pretty. And then Helen Mirren, the voice, jumps in and says, note to filmmakers, you should have never cast Margot Robbie if you wanted to make this point. So great joke there, very meta. And I'm not kidding when I say this is one of the funniest screenplays.